Alrighty, welcome to Airsoft Report's video review of the new Echo 1 G36-C. Now, as you can see, we put a foregrip on the front RIS rail. Everything else remains stock. First, we're going to take off the RIS front foregrip and show you how the battery compartment is accessed. There's a cotter pin at the front of the frame here. You push it out, usually to the left, that's how ours came, and it's pretty stiff. So you're probably going to want to use some kind of plastic plunger or whatever you can find that fits in the hole. Just push it out, pop it out. Now, we were impressed with the G36 battery compartment because it's pretty solid. You'll notice that it's got little feet on the bottom, so there's going to be almost no wobble of the foregrip at all. You just push it off, and you see the battery is pretty snug in there. You also see too that when it's actually in its cradle, Echo 1 rather, did a pretty darn good job of keeping everything nice and snug. Nothing's going to be jostling around, moving around. You also notice too that the wiring that they decided to use is pretty beefy, pretty tough, and you have the fuse right here, easily accessed, easily swapped out. We thought this was a pretty nice touch. Feels very qualitative. Okay, so putting the battery back on, you just put, there's a little lip here. Doesn't hold the battery completely, but it does a pretty decent job of keeping it in place. Then you slide it in. It takes a couple times. It took us a little while to get used to it, but you get the hang of it pretty quick. Just got to make sure that the battery wires and such are secure in there, and then it just goes all the way back, slides into the feet there. The cotter pin goes in, and you are almost ready to game. Now, the magazine is, according to the manufacturer, 470 rounds, high capacity magazine. The feeding is done that way. We found it's easier to just kind of feed the BBs in from this angle. You just kind of dump them in. Not so bad. It's actually pretty easy. Winding, of course, is done as pretty much any high capacity mag is from the bottom here. This is a high capacity magazine. It does require a lot of winding, so don't be worried if you have to do that a lot. Also, we found that on our particular model, the little nub in here basically that keeps the BBs in until you put it into the magazine is actually pretty weak. So don't wind it until you put it into the gun, otherwise you'll have BBs going everywhere. Goes in pretty easily, slaps in. You'll notice almost no wobble. Pretty decent for a magazine like this. The release is pretty straightforward. Most HK Airsoft guns have it this way. You just kind of push your thumb forward, pops the mag right out. You'll also notice the little nubs on the side of the magazine. So if you get extra high cap magazines, you just slap them in right there. Don't have to worry about finding a vest to fit it or anything else. Charging handle, universal, meaning you can do it from either the left or the right side. Doesn't go back very far, but when you do pull it back, you'll notice that the hop-up adjustment is exposed. It's kind of hard to operate, but ours came pretty well tuned out of the box. We didn't have to adjust it at all. You notice here that you have the fire selection switch, which unfortunately this is the one spot on this gun which I think is a little sloppy. There is a little bit of movement. It doesn't lock in very well, but you see it does the job. We usually keep it in full auto or safe. We don't usually use the single fire. Then you have the folding stock, and this is probably the coolest part on this gun. First of all, you'll notice it's open right now, and it's solid as a rock. I can't move it at all, and I'm flexing on it pretty hard. To close the stock, you simply push down on the button and then fold it. You'll notice that there's a secondary piece here that also holds the stock in place while it's closed. Now, to secure the stock to the frame, you'll see there's a little tab that's actually mounted to the left side of the right side of the frame. And when you pull it closed, there's a corresponding tab on the stock, which is kind of hard to see. Probably can't see it there, but there's a little tab right under there, and when you push it in, it just locks in place very securely. It's not going anywhere. And now you're ready to shoot. This is perfect for close quarters combat, very compact. With the foregrip, you get even more control and stability. And of course, it's easy to add anything you want. You'll also notice that even though they gave us one straight from the factory, you can also mount more rails on either the left side or the right side, or both if you wanted. Makes great setup for the foregrip, laser, flashlight. You'll also notice that, of course, the rails themselves are metal. The sling, which of course is ambidextrous, you can have it either side, is also metal. And there are a few other metal parts. The fire selector switch, we're not quite sure. It feels like plastic, but there's definitely metal in there. There's very little metal on this gun. The real steel G36 though is a composite frame, so really it's actually more true to the real thing than anything. And we notice very little body flex. There's really no reason to spend your money on a steel frame unless you just like the look of it. Anyway, the foregrip slides on very easily. We just got this little guy off eBay. This was a $15 grip. There are much better, more quality grips available out there, but for this test we decided to just use this. As you can see, this is a very easy to handle gun, especially with the grip on the front there. Now, we're going to get to the shooting section here in just a sec. But before we do, we can take a look at the sights. This is the other downside to this gun. Although you do have the flip-up adjustable sights, first of all, there isn't much difference in the aperture. I don't know if you can see that there, but you see it's a standard shrouded sight, very much like all the other HK products. We like this sighting setup, but the difference in aperture is very small. And although we haven't had to futz with it, the only way to adjust the sights is using an Allen wrench. So to adjust your windage and your left and right, you're going to be using an Allen wrench to try to futz with that. Again, not a big deal, but could be a hassle if you're fumbling around for an Allen wrench in the heat of battle. Again, ours came out of the box pretty well calibrated. We didn't have to do any of that. There's also, of course, the rail on the top portion here. It does kind of double as a carrying handle. It's not as strong as an M16's, but you can do it. You can hold it there as long as you don't, put too much force on it. You could also mount, red dot sight or a scope if you wanted to on the top there. So it's a pretty decent little gun. And next we're going to show you how it shoots. Pop it out. Okay, we're going to show you the rate of fire and the velocity of the new Echo 1 G36-C. Now, we've been told that this comes with upgraded internals, classic Army gears, and an upgraded spring as well. We've been told it's an M100, though we're not quite sure of that as we've not taken it down ourselves. But what we're going to do now is we're going to show you what this thing can do. Our test subject is an unfortunate grapefruit, and we're going to show you exactly what this little guy can do. That's almost out there. Yep, we're out. Here it is. Looks like a pretty slick gun. What we're going to do now is show you the basically the effective range, and you can get an idea of the rate of fire too. You getting it? Yep. And now, let's just have some fun straight from the leaves here. All in all, we like the G36-C quite a bit. It's a great little gun. We spent $145 on it, actually scratched that, $135 on it from Airsoft Atlanta. We got free shipping. It came with the magazine, the battery, and it had a jamming rod to clear jams in it as well. Great investment for us. We're going to be testing the M4 A1 Echo 1 carbine as well, and anything else that they throw out basically. Other than that, come take a look at the rest of the site. Airsoft Reports has a lot of great stuff.